Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back. We are going to be testing out Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. This game just released like, what, a day or two ago, I think, something like that, so it's completely brand new, and I'm excited to test this game out because we just finished doing Watch Dogs Legion and Assassin's Creed Valhalla, seeing how well those games perform on my exact rig, same rig that we've been using in all the tests so far. But I really enjoyed the last Modern Warfare campaign, and so I've been really looking forward to this game and looking forward to playing it and stuff like that as well. So if we jump and dive into the actual settings here, this game has so many visual settings, it's kind of daunting. Like, this game has anywhere between, like, it has gameplay VSync, so you can have VSync in just the gameplay, or you even have menu VSync, so when you're in the main menus, it'll help with screen tearing there too, I guess. You also have the newly added NVIDIA Reflex low latency technology in this game already as well. And then you have like your ADS field of view if it's attached or dependent on your, like, whether you're ADSing and your actual field of view, like whether these two settings are tied together or whatever. Like, it's crazy. You have regular frame rate limits, and you have when the game is minimized, what your frame rate limit is going to be as well. You have HD game textures and models as well. We have those installed, so we are going to be testing how the game runs with everything HDified and extra high definition models and things. We also have the 4K interface textures on, even though I normally play at 1080p, and we are currently running the game at 1080p. We will also be doing 4K results here as well, so you guys can look forward to that, seeing how this game runs at 4K. But we have the 4K interface textures on because why not? Just, you know, why not? We have everything else. I think these are, yeah, those are supposed to be on high. We'll go ahead and apply those now. There we go. So now everything is absolutely maxed out on ultra settings that it can be as well. So, and the cool thing about this game is this setting right here, the VRAM usage target. So this basically sets the game to use, like, how much of your VRAM you want it to use. Do you want it to use 70%, 80%, or 90% of your VRAM? And that may help with some of the stuttering and overall hiccups that you might feel in gameplay, because it can just use more of your VRAM as well. Or if you're experiencing hiccups because it's using too much, you can lower that down to like 70%, and then it should help with just being capped out on VRAM as well. So it gives you more flexibility, which I definitely like. This game does also have ray tracing as well, and we have all three of these: the sun shadows, the local shadowing, and the ambient occlusion on ultra. This game does also feature NVIDIA DLSS as well, with the normal ultra performance balance, and quality settings, same as we saw in Watch Dogs Legion. But we will be having that off because if you're getting, I want to see, like, do we get 4K 60 FPS in this game? And if you do, I don't see why you would want to use this at all. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the actual campaign here, because there's no official benchmark for this game. So we just have to manually test it via campaign missions and stuff like that, or like via multiplayer stuff or Warzone or whatever. So we're going to go ahead and do maybe a couple different spots of the campaign to show you guys the campaign performance like that. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright guys, we are in the first mission, skipping all of the dialogue and all of the cutscenes. And this game, let's go ahead and turn on the actual performance metrics here. This game is absolutely stunning. And so far from what I'm seeing on the MSI numbers in the top left, it's trading blows whether or not it's using more CPU versus more GPU in 1080p as well. Again, we're using ultra settings with ray tracing on ultra as well. No DLSS, nothing like that. And this is what you can expect. I like the detail on the little tiny cups and ashtrays and stuff like that. And PC's looking pretty good as well. Nothing amazing, but, you know, good. Wow. Your hair. That's great. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. Yeah, looking good. Looking real good. One thing I do want to test, though, let's go ahead and see how well this game runs in just this one small area, just as like a quick test. Let's see what happens when we turn off ray tracing. Let me go do that real quick. Alright, so ray tracing is off, and wow, look at our performance. Look at our performance. Wow, we jumped the hell up. We jumped up by turning ray tracing off. Holy crap. Yeah. We went from what, like mid 60s, mid 70s to all the way into almost 140 territory. Wow. All right, so yeah, if you are having any troubles with this game, turn off ray tracing. I like the look on the tessellation there with the brick and the way it reflects off the wood too. Like, the game still looks gorgeous even with ray tracing off. Not a bad start for this game at all. Not a bad start at all. But let's go ahead and turn ray tracing back on though and continue these tests. All right, so now we have ray tracing back off, and our FPS has resurfaced back at that 60 or 70 FPS mark. And again, I'm just still pleasantly surprised at how well this game runs with ray tracing on, but even more surprised at how well it runs with ray tracing off. That's a pretty big dip when you have ray tracing on versus off. You double your frames with ray tracing off. But let's go ahead and continue this mission. So let's just go ahead and get on with the testing, shall we? Alright guys, we are in the alleyway. I just went like 10 feet through that door, but there was some people talking and some things happening, so I wanted to skip ahead to when you guys wouldn't have any spoilers. And now we're in this alleyway, and it is freaking gorgeous in this alleyway. Granted, it's a smaller, more enclosed area, but we do have some background scenery out over there that does still look just really good. It looks really gorgeous. The shadowing from the actual the spotlight over there, kind of creating the soft shadows on the railing there, looks really nice. Beautiful, absolutely stunning as well. Just gorgeous. What I do want to test out is I do want to turn off ray tracing in this alleyway to see how it performs compared to the small little bar interior section. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, we have ray tracing off. And again, with ray tracing off, we are doubling our FPS here. And it still looks good. It still looks really good. I gotta give him that. Absolutely freaking stunning here. Ray tracing off, doubling your FPS, using about, 13 gigs of RAM? Just under 13 gigs of RAM and just under 9.5 gigabytes of video memory, according to the MSI numbers. So it's still running beautifully smooth, though. That's the weird thing, is after Watch Dogs Legion, when that game was using like 9.2, 9.5 gigabytes of our 10 gigabytes of video RAM, I fully expected that to be the cause of all of the hiccuping and performance issues. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't the lack of video memory. Maybe it was just the crappy optimization that Watch Dogs Legion has. Because this game is pushing your computer to the limit as well. And we are running it beautifully smooth at 120 FPS. Granted, Watch Dogs Legion's an open world game, and this is so far an enclosed interior space sort of type thing, so not fully comparable, but I think there are still some comparisons you could make to the actual overall quality of it. And again, even down to like the texture quality and reflection quality on the brick here is just immaculate. I love it. I really do. But let's go ahead and turn ray tracing back on and get on with the actual benchmarky stuff. All right, so ray tracing is back on. And again, this game is actually trading blows with whether or not it uses more CPU or more GPU. We're actually kind of even. So it's kind of good to see that it's using a little bit of both. Like, I would have loved to see the GPU being worked a little harder. That is a bit of a, I believe that spots a bit of a CPU bottleneck, is that our GPU is only at like 70%, but not the worst we've seen. I think Watch Dogs Legion was at like 50%? GPU usage until we went to 4K, and then it was 90%, but even then it was running like butt, even with the 90% GPU usage. So still really good performance so far. But let's go ahead and continue the actual level here. All right, so skipping ahead just a little bit here, I just wanted to show you guys how well Even things like this where the bricks are slightly offset in the road, how well that looks. And the actual soft shadowing on things like this wooden pallet here, just kind of resting up against the wall, and the soft shadows of the actual basement lighting peeking through. It looks so nice. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Just wanted to show you that little bit here. Boom. Got him. Of course, I love the green hue on everything because of the TV there. I love that. That's amazing. Kitchen, even the little details of like the fruits and vegetables and the boxes and stuff like that while there's a war going on is really nice looking. Beautiful game so far, man. Absolutely stunning. I'm not sure how much of this level I'm actually going to show you guys, just so that way we can get more scenery in here without it being like a 45-minute video. But so far, wow. Looking really, really good here. Really, really good. And with ray tracing still on too, so it's like, this is what you're gonna get at like, this is full max. Wow, that's a lot of toilet paper. Holy crap. This guy would be rich during COVID. Mountain Dew and guns. That is the best combination. I mean, why do you think Mountain Dew continuously has like Call of Duty sponsorships and stuff? Ooh, takedowns. Do a takedown. Oh, oh, that was beautiful. That was gorgeous. All right, I'm gonna go this way actually. Oh, hello. And oh. Okay. Sure. Okay then. Moving on. Ooh, not a takedown. Okay, brutal. Brutal. Holy crap. Let's get him. Do the thing. Woo! Do the thing. Okay. Here we are with ray tracing off. Still maximum settings. And I gotta say, it is, of course, like you double your frame rate here almost. Like we're in the 130, 140 territory right now. It is surprisingly like you double your frame rate by turning ray tracing off. So still runs really smooth with ray tracing on. You know, it's still a 60 to 70, maybe 80 FPS. I really wouldn't have, I really wouldn't care either way, because it still looks gorgeous even without ray tracing. So there is that. There definitely is that. But let's go ahead and continue with the mission. Okay. Wow. I mean, look at this game, you guys. Like, looking back at the area we were just in. Holy crap. And the terrain details, we walk up this muddy hill with all the grass and the moonlights and stuff. Wow. Switch to the snipper rifle. Oh, nice. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, this is awesome. Wow, look at the physics of the crates just flying everywhere too. Oh man. That's so cool. Explosions. Woo! Those look nice. Let's do it. Let's do it. Go, 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 go. Oh, I gotta reload. This is like a freaking action movie, man. This is why I play Call of Duty. Woo! That's so cool. That's so cool. Oh my god, that's beautiful. That's gorgeous. Hello. Okay, that friendly fire. Dude, this is awesome. Alright guys, so I decided to redo the test, but with ray tracing on this time, because that whole thing was as gorgeous as it was, with ray tracing off. So this is with ray tracing on, and it is freaking stunning. Oh my god. I'm trying to watch the vehicle explode with ray tracing. Yeah, look at that, man. Gorgeous. Holy crap. Oh, I gotta use the RCXD. Oh my god. Okay, here we go. Oh shit. We got this. Watch out. Oh, okay. Oh. Oh, this is beautiful. This is so good. Ray tracing gloriousness, man. Oh, they're dead. Oh my god. Alright guys, welcome on back. I took this opportunity to quickly switch over to 4K. So I closed the game down, reopened it up in 4K. And so that is what we are running at right now, is go ahead and turn that up to 4K. But let's go ahead and rerun some of those missions and see what happens there. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright guys, okay. We are in game. We are running this game at 4K maximum settings, everything turned up the same way it was at 1080p, and we're at 30 FPS. So this same bar interior at 4K maximum settings is yeah, although not the worst. Plus, we have ray tracing on, so I have a feeling that once we turn ray tracing off, then it should go up. We're using almost all of my 16 gigs of RAM though, if you notice that, and we're using almost all 10 gigs of the video memory at the top there as well. And we've completely switched the bottleneck over from, if you remember the first test, we were using like 60 to 70% of both CPU and GPU kind of trading blows, whichever one was using more. Well, now it's like we're roughly 50% or under for CPU, and the GPU is 99% solid, so we have completely switched bottleneck to a GPU bottleneck, but that's to be expected with ray tracing on in 4K and all that stuff. So one thing I did want to test here, one thing I did want to try, of course, because as we saw in the first testing, is that turning off ray tracing gives you a huge performance boost. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. We're just going to switch over to 4K with no ray tracing on. It's going to be glorious. Okay, so really quickly here, guys, turning off all of the ray tracing options here apparently lets us actually adjust the anti-aliasing quality finally. So because we're at 4K, I'm going to turn this off, because at 4K you typically don't need anti-aliasing anyway. You're just using up your computer performance just for no reason. There's so many pixels that 4K typically does not need anti-aliasing anymore. So I'm turning that off so we can save even further performance. But for right now, it is going to be off. Okay. So 4K with no anti-aliasing. For me at least, there is a bit of a shimmery effect on stuff, so maybe we do need anti-aliasing on in this game. But let's go ahead and turn the performance metrics back on here. Without ray tracing and without ray tracing and anti-aliasing on, we're in the 40s to 50s now, almost 60s depending on where I look. So not bad in terms of the performance increase, but I don't know if it's showing up as worse for you guys as it is for me, but some things like the reflections there are just gross without anti-aliasing. So we are definitely going to probably turn that back on just to help a little bit with that. So let's go do that right now. Okay, so I have to note this in there, that apparently screen space reflections is bugged, because even when I don't have ray tracing on at all, right, like none of the ray tracing anything is on, screen space reflections over here, if you turn it to high and then hit apply, and then you scroll down and put it out of view and then go back up, it turns it back to low. So it's like, I don't know what it's doing there. And I've noticed the same thing sort of with anti-aliasing. It's really hard to get this down to off. Like, it does not want you to turn it off. So yeah, I guess just a heads up that screen space reflections doesn't really want to work properly. It's probably always going to default you to low at all times. I don't know why, but it seems to be doing that. So just a heads up. Alright guys, we are back in the game with all of the settings back on Ultra, except for ray tracing. We turned the anti-aliasing back on, because apparently this is like one of the only games where you need anti-aliasing on at 4K. But here's the good news. Keeping anti-aliasing on and ray tracing off, we're in the 40s to 50s and like 60s even. Like we're still running really good performance with anti-aliasing on. So there's the benefit of that is, yeah, the game looks gorgeous and runs 4K 60. At least in this one interior here as well. One thing I do want to test is, since we've seen these numbers here, we've seen how well it runs with 4K, ray tracing on and ray tracing off, anti-aliasing on and off as well. Let's see what it does with 4K, no ray tracing, and DLSS. Because maybe you want like 4K 120. Maybe you have one of those fancy monitors, you want 4K 120. Let's see if we can get that. Alright, so this is with the balanced mode on, and we are in the 80s and 90s now, so it is definitely a lot smoother at 4K. And I'm not sure how the recording is going to show it for you guys. But it doesn't really look that bad, actually. It really doesn't. This looks way better than what Watch Dogs Legion looks at with DLSS on, so I'm happy with it, man. I'm happy with it. And you get that, you know, it may not be 120, but you're definitely getting 80 to 90 at 4K, so balanced is pretty good. Let's see what, like, performance and ultra performance does for us, though. Let's go ahead and see how that looks. Alright, so we are now in the game with the performance DLSS on. Still no ray tracing. Ambient occlusion and all that other fun stuff turned on. Anti-aliasing turned on as well. And, wow. I'm pleasantly surprised, honestly. This is already looking way better. Granted, this is a still interior scene that doesn't really have a lot going on. But, even the reflections and stuff, it's handling it really well. Really, really well. I am very surprised by how well this is handling it, and it even looks good for me. Whereas, like, Watch Dogs Legion, when I turned DLSS on to, like, performance or whatever, it looked super blurry and muddy. This looks really good. I gotta give him that. I don't really see a difference. That's awesome. That's super awesome. So, yeah. And we're almost in the hundreds now. Depending on where we look, we are in the hundreds, actually. So, not bad. Let's see what ultra performance does, though. This is what I'm really wondering about. Okay, so I just want to make a quick note here, actually, that ultra performance is recommended for 8K gameplay here. So yeah, it's not really what you would ever use in an actual situation unless you really cannot run this game. Then maybe you'd be like on a 1660 Ti running it at like 20 FPS. You'd use ultra performance to render it at like 720p and scale it up to like 1440p or something. So it's yeah, not really useful for any actual gameplay benefits here. Performance is typically where they recommend for 4K. So yeah, just want to throw that note out there that ultra performance is just for memes unless you actually play at 8K. Alright guys, we are in-game with no ray tracing, DLSS on ultra performance here, and wow, this is impressive. This is really impressive. You are getting that 4K 120, well, depending on where you look, but like, and it doesn't even look that bad. 4K 120. Maybe it'll look worse for you guys in the actual 4K recording, because again, I am playing on a 1080p monitor, so it is kind of downscaling a little bit, but even that's what Watch Dogs was doing as well, and Watch Dogs looked super blurry and gross, whereas this looks, holy crap, for ultra performance DLSS, like, it is almost unnoticeable. I say almost because some things are a little off, but wow. Holy crap. This makes me... Okay, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. Last test. Ready? We're going to keep DLSS on ultra performance here, getting 130 FPS in this bar. What we're going to do is we are then going to turn ray tracing back on at 4K and see how that runs. So give me just 1 second. We're turning ray tracing back on, and this is going to be glorious. Oh, okay. Okay. So the same effect that we saw in 1080p when we turned ray tracing on and off is pretty much the same effect we just had. Ultra performance DLSS with ray tracing on, we're in like the 60s to 70s, whereas we were in like the 120s, 130s earlier. So this is kind of insane. We might actually be, I don't know what resolution ultra performance scales up via the AI, but I would be willing to bet it is rendering 1080p. And then just trying to upscale it up to 4K or even 8K or what, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it's doing anymore, but doesn't look that bad. Performance, really good. Really, really good. So I'm not sure what they're doing differently than Watch Dogs Legion, but like, wow. Wow. I also don't know how it's going to look for you guys in the recording, because again, I'm playing on a 1080p monitor, so we'll have to see how that goes. But wow, not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah. Okay, so I have gone back into the settings. I have turned the Ultra Performance DLSS to off, so we are no longer using DLSS. And I've turned ray tracing all back on at 4K, and the FPS is tanking down to the 40s. But I gotta say, there is like a little difference. I can actually see like a little subtlety of like extra sharpness or something here and there on just some of the reflections, some of the actual shadowing. It just looks a little bit clearer. So, not bad. And again, even down to the cigarettes look really good in this. Wow. But let's go ahead and continue this performance benchmark in the next part of these levels here. Alright guys, we are in the same alleyway as before. Running this at 4K, no DLSS, ray tracing on Ultra. Everything turned up to 11 at 30 to 40 FPS, which we're now down to the same level as like Watch Dogs was at, I think, at 4K. So not completely terrible, but also like not ideal either. This is where what I might do is we might actually turn ray tracing off, because it still looks really, really good with ray tracing off, but it gives us like, what, an extra 10, 15, 20 frames, something like that. I forget what it actually gave us, but it should make it a little smoother in general. So this is kind of like, at least on this CPU, in this combination of hardware, yeah, because again, I'm running an i7 6700K, 16 gigabytes of 3200 megahertz RAM, and a 3080. So in this combination of hardware, 4K 30 to 40 FPS is about what you're going to get with everything turned up to 11. So let's go ahead and turn ray tracing off and just play the rest of this out and see how it looks. Alright guys, we are back. Ray tracing is now off, and we are in the 60s and 70s, and oh my, it is still gorgeous. Still gorgeous, but so much smoother, holy crap. So, I think we're going to keep these settings for the rest of the actual thing. We might turn on ray tracing here and there at 4K to see just how taxing it is, but this is what we're going to be running for the rest of it, I think, because wow. Alright, so showing you guys the same little alleyway that we were showing you before, with the soft shadowing from the basement windows here, still looking absolutely gorgeous, even without ray tracing on as well, which is just, like, that really speaks volumes, I think, to how well this game is going to look for you. Even if you don't like ray tracing or can't handle it, it's still going to look gorgeous for you. Getting about 45 to 50 FPS depending on where we look and what's happening. So, a bit of a mixed experience with some of the things here. Bit of a mixed one. Oh my god. Ow, ow, ow. No, stop that. Dear criminals, can you please stop criming? Okay, thank you. Little objects here and there still have all of the insane deals that they had before, so really nice. Really nice detailing that they got going on here. And here comes the stabbing in 4K. Yes, let's do it. Bink. Ooh. Oh, that was even more brutal looking in 4K. Even more beautiful in 4K. Get that guy. Oh, hello. Get that guy. And that guy. And that guy. And that guy. Let's do it. Do the thing. All right, guys, here we are on this next scene here. And as you can see, we are still running about 45 to 55 FPS in that range at 4K. No DLSS on, no ray tracing on, and it is looking freaking gorgeous. And our performance metrics up in the top left haven't really changed much either from the little bar scene to something like this either. We're still using like 50% or under for our CPU usage. Still using all of our GPU, which is great. We're using almost 9.5 gigs of our 10 gigs of VRAM. Only roughly 10 gigabytes of regular RAM. And depending on where we look, we do get that magical 60 FPS here. But it's kind of beefy. Even with no ray tracing on. I could see someone turning on DLSS for this. Especially because, as we saw earlier, DLSS does actually improve performance without sacrificing too much of the visuals, unlike Watch Dogs Legion, where turning on DLSS, different modes just make it look blurry and gross, and it's just, I would never turn that on. I would just rather deal with the lower FPS. But not bad for this area. Let's go ahead and continue. And again, the terrain detail as you walk up the muddy mountain with the grass and everything with the moonlight just looks so good. So good. Here we go. Here's that awesome, cool sniper moment from before. Let's do it. Bink. Oh, beautiful. Let's do this. Here we go, man. This scene is fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. I love this scene. So with ray tracing on, we are, of course, down into the 30s and 40s, and, I mean, the game is looking beautiful, though. Absolutely stunning, but still 30 FPS, so rather unfortunate that turning ray tracing back on takes your FPS down that far, but that's where, as we saw, turning ray tracing completely off isn't that big of a negative either. Even with ray tracing on, no DLSS at 4K, this is 60 FPS. I like it, man. Oh crap. This is awesome. Oh my god. Oh, dead. This is so cool. Oh, I love this scene so much. Alright, so there you guys have it. There is a bit of a test to see how this game runs on an older CPU paired with an RTX 3080. Doesn't run that bad, actually. The CPU still holds up. You can still get like 4K 60 FPS, depending on the game, depending on the settings, if you want DLSS or ray tracing on or anything like that. So really, really solid performance here. I was pleasantly surprised. And again, it just shows how absolutely unoptimized Watch Dogs Legion is. Although in some moments in this game you do drop to like 30 FPS in 4K with ray tracing on, so kind of similar in that sense, but all around I was pleasantly surprised. This game is gorgeous. It seems really, really fun. I cannot wait to fully play it myself. yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you very much for hanging out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to do all the YouTube stuff like liking and commenting and subscribing and all that fun stuff. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys, and have a wonderful day, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!